Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Moa, aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today's the 4th of July. And what better than to try a whiskey from America? And of course, I turned to my wonderful supporters on Patreon to help which one to choose. And they helped me choose this one, the Woodford Reserve Distiller Select. So Woodford Reserve is of course quite a known bourbon whiskey, and they're dating back all the way to 1812. This specific bottle I picked up at Edinburgh Airport when I was travelling back to Sweden one summer, hence why it's a 1 litre bottle, and it was probably the first bourbon that I actually enjoyed and thought that I could like. It is quite interesting. So this is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. To be a bourbon, it of course has to be at least 51% corn in the mash bill, but bourbon can be made anywhere in America. But if it's a Kentucky straight bourbon, it of course has to be from Kentucky. And the word straight also has a few things and rules that you kind of have to abide with. So if it's a straight whiskey, it can be a straight corn whiskey, it can be a straight malt whiskey, it can be a straight bourbon. And this here, which is a straight bourbon, of course has to have the corn influence in their mash bill. It also has to be matured for at least 2 years on new charred virgin oak. And if the whiskey's been maturing for less than 4 years, it has to have an age statement of the youngest whiskey going into it. And you cannot use any caramel colouring. As you can see, it has quite a lovely deep rich colour anyways, which of course can be because of those virgin oak casks that give you a lot of colour and a lot of flavour, because they are of course like a tea bag. The first time you use them, you do get a lot of that. And this whiskey sits at 43.2% ABV. And something else that's quite fun is that Woodford Reserve is of course the official whiskey for the Kentucky Derby. But let's start by having a little nose. And the lingering feeling, this is why I'm struggling to explain, but it's like when I breathe in and breathe out, it just feels like bourbon. It's this mixture of kind of an oakiness, a charry note, like a kind of bitter charry note. It feels very warming and big. Yeah, I think it's kind of that charry note, the oak, and then a little bit of a sweetness. I mean, if you ever tried a bourbon, that kind of taste that makes it bourbon, that's what I'm getting on the finish. It's just very kind of, just grabs a hold of you. Now it has a more kind of vegetal nose. Initially it was very, very sweet. Yeah, almost like when you have tomatoes on the vine, like the kind of way that smells. It is interesting. So this is a non-age statement, but because it is a straight whiskey, they can of course not put an age statement that is younger than 4 years. I'm not actually sure what age the whiskies in this is. So if you know, please let me know in the comments below. Yeah, quite a bit like fresh forest. It's of course when you make I've seen it a lot in photos from the Kentucky Derby that they do drink a lot of mint juleps, which is like a whiskey based mojito almost. And I can see how this goes so well because it has this kind of big flavour and that kind of charry element and the kind of oakiness that mixes really well with kind of the mint and the freshness. But it's still a very, I would say it's quite an easy going bourbon because it's easy to like. And I think if you're a Scotch drinker and you want to get into bourbon and you don't want to be shocked by bourbon flavours and by all this bigness that you can find, this is a good one to start with because it's, I'm gonna try not to say interesting because I say it all the time, but it's very approachable, very friendly, but different. I mean, there's no mistake that this is very different to perhaps Scotch or something else that's that kind of style, but it's wonderful. It's really nice. I mean, I still like it, and I see why I liked it that first time I tried it. Yeah, it's that kind of vegetal bitterness that you feel kind of in the middle of everything, surrounded by the oak, but then it kind of smooths out on the finish and just leaves this kind of oaky perfume. But I would, of course, love to hear what you think of Woodford Reserve. Is it perhaps your favourite bourbon or your favourite Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey? Or do you have another one that you think I should try? I'm just starting out on my bourbon journey, or of course on my American whiskey journey. So if you have any single malts, any bourbon whiskies, any corn whiskies, any wheat whiskies, any ryes that you think this is absolutely excellent and you think I might like it, please put it in the comments below. I love exploring new whiskies. And if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and of course on my other social channels, then I would of course be absolutely over the moon if you consider using my affiliate links with Master Malt, the Whiskey Exchange and SMWS. All of that information is in the description below, as well as links to my website, my Patreon, my new Teespring shop, and of course my website. And I want to say a massive, massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. I'm so, so happy that you guys want to continue to support me on my whiskey journey. But as always, I hope you all are going to have an absolutely wonderful day. Slàinte mhath.